Going on, y'all? Chris Moses here with my church band. I'm going to show you guys how to make a simple shout beat, right? So now I have here Logic Pro 9 open here. And this is a DAW, stands for Digital Audio Workstation. You can use any DAW that you have, whether you have a PC or Mac. PC, you can get free DAWs, Audacity, or whatever, Steinberg, Cubase. For Logic, this is a proprietary paid software. And so, there's that, and there's a few others. There may be, I think there is Audacity for Logic Pro as well, but Logic Pro is my favorite because of for making tracks and music. There is Pro Tools, however, I prefer, and I was trained on Pro Tools in school, but I prefer to use Logic because I make tracks and music and compose tracks. So now, what we're gonna do here, we're gonna make like a shout, all right? A shout kind of track here, and I have it up here on the top. It's untitled. Okay, I'm gonna just give it a name and just save it as I don't know, I'll call it shout, and I'm gonna call it shout 160. All right, so shout 160, and just save it someplace in the desktop or whatever, right? Shout 160, and I'll tell you why I'm naming it that. And it's largely because that is the time, and I'm gonna save it here. When I save it, the whole project's gonna be saved, and I want to save it as a folder, not a package, because I want to have everything nice and neat inside of a folder. And I don't have any audio files over here, so I'm not gonna, be copying anything in these audio files. But I'm gonna go ahead and save that. Oh, I just spelled something incorrect. Shy out. Well, anyway, you know what I meant. So shout 160, because I'm gonna go ahead and do something now, and change a few things here. Now, what I have here is this first track, right, in this section right over here, and this channel strip. This is what it's called. You mouse over it, it tells you what it is. It's just named instrument one. So I'm gonna have several instruments actually in this, and how I like to go about doing it. The reason why I call it Shout 160 is because show out. I have to change that. 160 is because I'm gonna go ahead and customize this, right? And hit customize bar and display. I can go down to where it says in this LCD section, go down to custom. So I'm gonna now just tap anywhere on the screen. So now it has a couple of things here, right? Don't worry about what these mean. This over here is going to tell you the tempo. And the tempo I like to have, these two sections I pay attention to the most, right? The tempo I have is going to be 160. For like a shout, that's, a praise break, whatever you want to call it, high praise, whatever. That's the tempo that I would normally have it at, right? Now, and of course, the time is going to be four beats per bar, and every beat is a quarter. Right? If you don't know what that is, we can talk about that another time, but you don't have to know music like that. But just know that 4/4 is good enough for a shout. And they're going to be broken into 16 divisions. And I'll show you what that means. I'm going to get up the piano roll. I just hit N to do that. I think there's another shortcut for that. But see, it shows you here. If you go from 1 all the way to 2 over here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So each of these, in this grid here, this piano roll is going to get a beat, and that helps you to quantize it. Quantizing is just basically making sure that all your beats and your rhythms and things like that are on the actual grid, so the timing is correct. There's plus and minuses with that, but for now, we're going to turn that quantize on, and I'm going to get out this piano roll. Matter of fact, I'll just leave it up because we can still use it. So how I do here, right? The first thing is we have this in this channel strip here. I'm going to rename it. I'm going to call it. Matter of fact, I'm going to use about 3 or 4 of them. I'm going to open up these channel strips. I might open about 5. I just double tap and just do this. All right, and every time I double tap in this blank area here, it just gives me instruments. So you can have several things in this region over here. You can have either an instrument you can load up. You can load up a audio track, or you can load up an external MIDI. But for now, for our purposes, you want an instrument. And the instrument we want to have is a VSTI. If you don't know what that is, you can check out this video right over here, and it will give you some insight into what a VSTI is. I'd actually recommend you look at that before you go too far with this. But if you know what that is, we have these 5 these channel strips here open. And I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to select that, right? So when I select that here, in the left hand over here in this area, I'm going to go down to where it says, of course, it normally would be blank, but I have it loaded up. So I can go to this one right here. You can tell everything in this track has to do with instrument number 2. So it matches. When we change it, the bottom number, the name changes over here, instrument 3. We can hit the arrow on our keyboard, press down, it'll cycle through the tracks. So we loaded track number 1, and I'm just gonna go ahead and double click on this. I don't want, well, normally I have a piano loaded up here, but what I want to do, what I like to do, once I have my BPM set, it's 160 beats per minute. We can kind of tell if we listen to it. We can hit the play in this area here called the transport. We hit the transport, just tap that once, and I can turn on the metronome by clicking this here. All right, and it's on the downbeat. Tick, 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 but that's what I'm looking for, right? So I know what that is. Double click that, go backwards. Now I'm going to go to my, what do I like to use for this? For these shouts, for this track, I like to go to the urban rig here. Okay, I'll click on that, and I'm in the drums here. Typically, what I like to do, I'll use several things from here and see what it sounds like. But I like to have normally a shaker. All right, I'll take that. Just take that since I see it right here. I have some kind of shaker, and of course here I have my M audio connected, so I can do different things. I can hit each key note. It's going to give me a different, sound of a shaker. It doesn't change the pitch; it changes the entire instrument. Some of these samples and its VSTIs, they actually just change the pitch. You'll have like a range, maybe from here to maybe an octave. But you leave that, it'll just change the pitch. But this one gives you a completely different instrument. So this is what I like about this urban rig here, VSTI. So now I'm gonna go ahead and just double click on that there, and I'll name it. I'll just call it shaker. All right. So I can change the icon if I wanted to. I can click on that and I can change it to something else. I can look for percussion. All right, and I can just get any kind of thing that would look like a shaker. All right, just these maracas over here. I can even use something like this. All right, so I can hit that and it'll change the icon. Now, I know I have a shaker here. All right, and I can use different kinds, whichever one I want. So I have that. The next thing I like to normally do with this is I'll go and create. Now I'll hit Command 2 and I'll just copy this over. I could have just made several tracks of the same thing by just duplicating it, but sometimes I may want to change the instrument. So what I'm doing here is holding the Option button down and then clicking and just dragging to each one, because I know I'm going to use like several of these instruments on top of one another. Okay, and I'll just leave that for that right now. I'll go ahead and I'll close this. Okay, so now I have this other instrument here, and they're all going to be the same. They're all the same shaker. Once you go down, because I made copies of the same thing, but I can change the banks in it, meaning that I can get out of that one. I know this is shaker 2. I'm going to close that. Come here and I'll double click on this, and it's the same thing. You can load several instruments and have several MIDI inputs, but I don't want to do that because each channel strip is going to have its own type of effect. If I want to put an effect on it, it'll affect everything in there. So I may want to do one thing different to this shaker that I want to do to the next instrument I'm going to put up, which is going to be like a clap. All right, and I'll go down again to the rig, click on this here, and I'll look for claps. I'll hit the first one, right? I can drag it. I can either click in and drag it or just double click. I'll click and drag it. All right. Now I can either hit it with the mouse or with the keyboard because I have an input here, right? So this sounds good to me, right? So now I'll use this. It tells you which one it is up here. You'll see that it's a G2, just in case you forget, because this is G1 and this is G0 and so forth. So I use the G2 here, right? That's the MIDI input. This is what this is telling me over here. It says no in because there's nothing coming in. Until I hit it, it says, oh, well, you have a G2 coming in. It tells me which channel it is, channel 1. It tells me the note name and the velocity and how hard I'm hitting it. So it's from 0 or 1 to 127, okay? So now I believe it's either 0 to 127 or 1 to 127. And there's no output because there's nothing leaving here and going back to my keyboard. I don't need it for it to do that. So now I have my clap. I'll just double click and name it clap. I can go here, double click, give it a picture. These are the things I like to do because I get a little anal with it. So this is what I have so far. So I like to go ahead sometimes and I'll just throw in a clap because I know that that's kind of where I want the beat. I'm going to put that on the clap. I know where I want the beat on the clap. So I'm going to hit R for record. It says it right there. if you mouse over, it'll give you like a hint. So we're using this over here. But before I do that, I want to make sure that my quantize is on. So the quantize helped me to keep the beat right. I go down to 16th note, being that it's a double time. If I hit 8, it may not quantize properly. Now I'll explain what I mean by that. So let me hit the record button. 2, 3, 4. Okay, I just stopped out the space bar. Now, sometimes when you go ahead and you do these things, all right, you try to hit the time, and it's it's not going to come out right because you're not going to get it exact because you're putting things in the computer. But the thing is, though, it automatically quantizes it. So I can do it like that. I can automatically quantize it, right? Because I have this already set prior to my recording. So everything is right on beat. You can tell by the metronome. Now, for example, I select this and I didn't quantize it, okay? If this is off, all right, and this was quantize here was off, okay? I turned it off. You have nothing selected, and then you hit off, so it's just gonna do a regular recording without quantizing. It's important that we have it quantized, and I'll explain why in a second here. So what I'm gonna do, I know I have, let's close this a little bit, and this is what I want. 1, 2, 3, 4. I want 4 because I'm not gonna do all like, going all the way out to, infinite measures to go ahead and, record all that. I don't need to do that. I can actually load this, and I'll show you how that works. So I'll go ahead, I'll click on this again, and then turn the quantize back on. And if you open up the piano roll here, open up the piano roll right here, you press P, get the piano roll, and select the region. It'll show you that it's not on the grid. If you notice here, nothing is on the grid here. It's all just before it. So it's a little fast. If you select this MIDI event here, these little things are MIDI events. So what I'm going to do, I can either quantize it from up here or I can do it from here. So for quantize it from up here, I have to select this green thing here. It's called a region, and then hit quantize, and then go to 16th note. And if you look at the bottom here, pay attention to what goes on here. You'll notice all the notes will shift forward and go right on the grid. So now everything is where it needs to be. So now what I will do is take this region and make it shorter. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, I don't want to make it short. I want to put 2 more beats in here because I want it to go up to 5. I want it to have 4 full measures. Where are we at now? So I'm going to go back. All right, so now I'm done. Right, so I have everything set up. It's quantized. Okay, so now what we can do, I can actually hit this here. This is your cycle. You can hit it, press C to cycle it, or just click on it, and it will, if you press the space bar, it'll just repeat. Okay, now we have that going on here, right? Okay, that's something that I just did. I can go back up to my shaker. Okay, now I'm going to stop that, and I'm going to find another kind of percussion. Maybe I'll go with this G2 here just to keep it simple, right? Hit the return button, it takes it back to the beginning, right? And what I could do now is several things here. I can take it, I can slow the beat down because I can't play it that fast with one finger because I want it to do like a at that rhythm, but I can't play it that fast because I'm using a weighted keyboard here. So what I can do, there's several things that I can do. I guess the simplest would be maybe to copy it once I do it one time, and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to hit record. All right, 2, 3, 4. So I use G2, right? Return, record. Right? Now I can stop this, and I'll go here to this region, right? So whenever I have this region selected, it'll show up on the piano roll on the bottom. So this is the first one here. I'll just change the color, hit Option C, and change the color, make it a little darker just to give it a difference, right? So now, what I will do now is this. This is just supposed to be, the quantization is off. All right, see here. Notice how it's just at the beginning, or just how it's off here. You have it here. It was never, I turned off the quantizer. I forgot to put it back on. So again, when you record, you select just the screen here or anything, you black out all the regions. White means it's selected, you click here, it takes it off. This is off. And if when I select that, I can tell that it's off. It's never been quantized. This has been because it changes to a 16th note. This one, I'm going to select it now, and I'm going to take it and then hit that and go to 16th. So what I'm going to do now, go down to this piano roll. I'm going to hit Command 8. Just make sure I click it. You can tell because this blue area is selected. Command 8, it selects all of it. I'm going to take these now. I'm going to make these MIDI events shorter, right? So I can see what I'm doing because it's overlapping and it's part of the grid. Because remember, we're going on the grid so we want to stay on the grid. So I'm going to take it now, hit Option, click, and I'm going to copy this over here. So now I have twice the amount. So when I hit the space bar to play it back, it should sound like this, right? This is what I have so far. Okay, and it's going to keep looping ad infinitum. All right, so hit the space bar again. Now we're going to go now to the next instrument. I want to get another instrument inside of it. Okay, again, we can put all of these on one track, but it's easier to do other things like if you want to mix it, you want to solo some tracks, you want to say, you know what, let me delete this or mute it out and I'll come back to it later. It's easy to do that when you put everything on a separate track, right? So now I have my the contact instrument is already loaded, that sampler. So I'm going to just call this, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to double click. I want some congas in there, right? Conga percussion, right? I already know what I want, so I'm going to double click on this. And I just do these pictures just so I can remember, go to percussion, what I had inside, right? All right, I'm just going to close this out. So I'm going to get rid of this here because I can't find these percussions, but I know there's another percussion here. I can use one that sounds a little more, well, it is a real sample instead of just a compressed sample. It's going to be the Superior Drummer, and I'm going to hit that. So what I like to do is put that in here. This uses VSTI. This is an awesome VSTI that has super real sounding stuff. We're going to go to, I guess we can go to Latin percussion, right? Yeah, Latin Cuban percussion, Latin Cuban drums, Latin percussion. I'll just go Latin, Latin percussion. Hit that, and it's going to load it up. And now I got to hit all the keys to find out which one is the congas because I don't remember. I had these drums loaded, and I finally found the one that I wanted to get. Let me go now and click here. I'll go ahead and press V to make this invisible. Go back. Okay. I made a mistake with that part, but it doesn't matter. I'll go and I'll quantize it and let's see what it sounds like. It'll just keep repeating. Okay, made a couple of mistakes there, but it doesn't matter. Now we have this going on, right? We can go to this next instrument. I'm going to put in a, I don't know, some other percussion, a tambourine, right? Tambourine, I think that's how you spell that. Yeah, I'm going to F for spelling today. Tambourine, I think. All right. Double click on here. I can see what it is quickly. Go to percussion again and tambourine. Okay, you can use that. You can just not use this and put a shaker in, and you stop this. I don't know how loud this thing is, but go back here and I'll go to find a tambourine. I could go. It's another place I can check out. Well, I can probably just make a copy of this here and use this over here and just be good with it. Yeah, I think I'll do that. I'll go here and I will make a copy because I'm going to go for tambourine. I'll take this out here. Hit Option. I think I can just copy over that. There you go. Right. Yeah, it's going to take a second. Double click on that. All right. In fact, I'll just close this one and tambourine. So this one, I'm not sure. Like some of the shakers better in this. I gotta fix this octave here. Come up with a better way to find. Here we go. We can do something like that, right? Just to give it a little something. I'll press V, make that invisible. I will press Command 2 to. Oh, it just opens up another window. I'll close this out here. I can close this one out. Boom. Boom, close that, and I will hit return, and just had it a second ago. Here we go. It's these two here, and hit record. Something like that. I don't like that. I hit Command Z. Command Z will undo what I just did. Return, and I'll do it again. Okay, so now we have a click here. Press stop. I can take this off, that metronome. Now we can control the volume to this. All right, if we want to bring this down a little bit. And this is done very quickly. All right, now I can come here and I have my shout now, right? Change the instrument over here. Double click on that. Close this out. I don't need this bad boy. Close that out. When I close it, it's not deleting the instrument off the track. I'm just closing it from the screen here because I don't need it. So I'm just going to load these pianos. So I'm going to close this. Load these pianos here. This loads pretty quick, right? All right. And there I have it. I can do that. I can repeat it, right? Now, matter of fact, let me just pause this for a second. This will loop like this. It will cycle in this section between these 4 bars. If I hit C again, hit return, it'll just do it once. When it gets to 5, it's going to be silence, right? And that's it. With these regions over here, all of them, I have them all selected, right? And of course, I can hit the C button to cycle just these 5 or 4 bars, but I don't want to do that because I want it to be longer. I want to output this maybe as a 5-minute loop or 10-minute or whatever I may want to have it as. So now what I will do is I can select them all, and then I can go to the area where it says loop on the left side here. So it tells me that 4 regions are selected. I hit loop, it will loop all of them all the way out until the end of this over here. So now that I have this looped, I can take this and put this all the way out here. It tells me up here, I have it for 3 minutes and 12 seconds. That's how long it's going to be. So now all the regions are looped all the way, and it just repeats. The first 4 bars that I did, it'll repeat it all the way out until I get it to the 3 minutes and 12 seconds that I have this playhead at. Now what I can do, Command A, I can select all of them, and I can hit Command B, or I can go to File, and I can go to Export or Bounce if I want to. All right, I can do that. I can save it as several types of file. Okay. What I like to do, I like to use a shortcut and just go Command B to bounce them all out. And it'll tell me exactly how I want it. I can make it into a really high quality WAV file or AIFF, which is the same difference really. Okay, and I can change the sample rate and do all these things, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make a small file as an MP3. Select that just so I can get the speed, the bit rate here. I like to have the MP3s at the highest, 320 kilobits per second. All right, and just leave everything pretty much the way it is. And I won't normalize it. I won't need to do that right now. That's normally when you're dealing with an audio region. So what I can do is hit OK. What I will do now when this pops up, it's going to give me the folder where it says bounce, and I can change this to shout instead of show it, whatever that means. And that's the BPM like I said here, and I will hit bounce. So now it's bouncing, and it's going to convert it to MP3. Now what we can do is go find the file. So now we have the file here, we select it, and it tells us how long, well, the size of the file. I can hit the space bar here. 3 minutes and 12 seconds, like I said, right? So I have this region selected here. This is my piano. I'm not going to record the piano right now, but, you know. That's your entire lesson on how to actually make a loop. Again, we're using Logic Pro 10, all right, and I usually like to use about 4 or 5 tracks, and then you could go, there's different things you could do. You could change the volume, add different plugins to change the sound and the timbre of each thing. But this is essentially it. And this is how this works. If some of this stuff is confusing to you, or if this is your first time seeing this, well, don't worry, because I have a free guide over at my website. I'll leave the link in the description. My website is mychurchband.com/jumpstart. You can download my free guide. It goes through from A to Z to get you started today. Exactly what kind of instruments you need, exactly what you need, where to go, and how to get it, so you can start making your music. God bless you, and I will see you in the next video.